It's 4 million years ago. You're a hairy, unwashed ape. For your entire existence, the ultimate biological signal to mate was a giant primate ass. It was simple. It was effective. Then your idiot ancestors decided to stand up and walk on 2 legs. Suddenly, the ass is hidden. The visual trigger is gone. Mating drops. So evolution panicked and did the most hilariously vulgar thing in the history of biology. It built a fake ass on the front of the body. Let's start with a fact that should make you deeply uncomfortable about your own species. Humans are biological freaks. Look at the rest of the animal kingdom. Look at dogs, horses, lions, chimpanzees. Do you ever see a female wolf walking around with permanent D cups? No, because that would be fucking terrifying. And more importantly, it makes absolutely zero biological sense. In 99.9% of mammals, breasts only swell up when the female is actively pregnant or nursing. The moment the baby stops drinking milk, the tissue shrinks back down, flattens out, and disappears. Because carrying around massive, heavy, swinging bags of flesh on your chest while you were trying to outrun a saber-toothed tiger is a catastrophically stupid survival strategy. It is an aerodynamic nightmare. It burns calories. It throws off your center of gravity. And yet, human females develop permanent breasts at puberty years before they ever have a kid and keep them for the rest of their lives. We are the only mammal on Earth that does this. If an alien biologist landed on this planet, took one look at human anatomy, and looked at the physics of it, they would immediately realize something fishy is going on.
These things are not here for milk. They are here for marketing. To understand why you have a degenerate search history, we have to go back roughly 4 million years. Meet Australopithecus, our ancient pre-human ancestor. For millions of years, primates lived on all fours. And when you walk on all fours, your face is generally pointed right at the backside of the ape in front of you. Because of this, the primate mating signal was built around the rear end. When a female chimpanzee or baboon is fertile, her backside swells up. It turns bright red. It practically glows in the dark. It is nature's billboard. It is a biological neon sign screaming, "I am ready to reproduce." The male monkey sees the red ass. The monkey brain fires a surge of dopamine. The monkey does his job. It is a perfect, flawless, closed-loop biological system. But then, the climate changed. The dense African forests started turning into open savannas, tall grass everywhere. To see over the grass, to spot predators, and to carry sharp sticks, our ancestors did something unprecedented. They stood up. Bipedalism. It is the defining trait of humanity.
It gave us the ability to use tools, throw spears, and eventually build the iPhone. Great. But standing up created an immediate, catastrophic horny crisis. When you stand upright, the female genitals and the buttocks are suddenly tucked underneath the pelvis, pointing at the dirt. The giant red billboard is gone. The primary visual trigger that successfully kept primates fucking and reproducing for 20 million years has suddenly vanished from the male line of sight. The males are confused. The visual signal is broken. Evolution is staring at a declining birth rate and a species that is too busy looking at each other's faces to realize they need to mate. Evolution, if you study it long enough, is basically a lazy software developer. When it encounters a massive bug in the code, it doesn't build a new system from scratch. It just copy-pastes an old line of code, slaps it somewhere else, and hopes the program doesn't crash. Enter Desmond Morris. In 1967, this highly respected zoologist published a book called The Naked Ape. In it, he proposed a theory that was so unapologetically vulgar and brilliant that it practically broke the biological community. It is called the Frontal Mimicry theory.
Morris argued that because humans were now standing upright and communicating face-to-face, evolution needed to relocate the sexual signaling to the front of the body. The male brain was already hardwired by millions of years of evolution to react violently to the visual shape of 2 fleshy, rounded hemispheres separated by a dark cleavage line. So evolution didn't reinvent the wheel. It just grew a replica of an ass on the human chest. Look at the anatomy. 2 rounded globes of flesh. The cleavage crack perfectly mimicking the gluteal cleft. Even the lips of the human mouth evolved to become plump and red, unconsciously mimicking the swollen labia of an aroused primate. You are not a sophisticated modern gentleman appreciating the elegant curves of the female form. You are a profoundly stupid monkey who is being tricked by a biological optical illusion. Your brain sees cleavage. The ancient 4 million-year-old alarm bell rings, and your subconscious yells, "Look, an ass!" And it works. It works so flawlessly well that whole industries, from Hollywood to Instagram to Hooters, have built trillion-dollar empires entirely off the back of this one evolutionary patch update. Now, at this point, the Puritans and the people who desperately want human beings to be pure, rational angels are going to argue, no, breasts are for feeding babies. It's about motherhood and nutrition. Stop being a creep. Okay, let's talk about the biology of milk. If breasts were purely for feeding babies, human women would look like dogs or pigs. They would have flat chests with multiple functional nipples that only swell up when lactating. Furthermore, breast size has absolutely, mathematically zero correlation with milk production. A woman with an A cup produces the exact same amount of milk at the exact same flow rate as a woman with a double D cup. The mammary glands, the actual plumbing that produces the milk, take up barely any space. So what the hell is the rest of it? Fat, adipose tissue. Human breasts are almost entirely composed of purely decorative, biologically expensive fat. And in the harsh, starving environment of the Paleolithic Savanna, fat was the most valuable currency on Earth. If a female could afford to store a massive amount of excess fat directly on her chest, just for show, it meant she was insanely healthy. It meant she was an elite survivor. It meant she had access to incredible amounts of calories, was free of parasites, and had youth on her side. Gravity is the enemy of the breast, which means high, firm breasts are an unfakeable biological receipt of youth and peak fertility. Biologically speaking, boobs are just two glorified bags of decorative fat stapled to the pectorals strictly to manipulate the male nervous system. It is evolutionary clickbait. It is a 4 million-year-old thirst trap, and your DNA is programmed to click it every single time. But why face-to-face? Why did evolution care so much about getting humans to look at each other's fronts, rather than just acting like normal dogs or monkeys and mating from behind? Because human babies are absolutely garbage. I'm serious. Look at a baby horse. A baby horse drops out of the womb, shakes the placenta off its face, stands up on 4 legs, and is basically ready to do complex algebra and outrun a wolf within 20 minutes. A human baby is a screaming, useless potato for at least 3 years. It can't walk, it can't hold its own head up. If you leave it alone for 4 hours, it will attempt to die. Because humans evolved massive brains and narrow bipedal hips, our babies have to be born essentially premature. They are basically fetuses living outside the body, which means a human mother cannot raise a child alone on the prehistoric savanna. She needs help. She needs the male to stick around. She needs pair bonding. And how do you force a deeply selfish, nomadic male ape to stick around and help raise a screaming potato? You force him to look into her eyes. Face-to-face mating, the missionary position, is incredibly rare in the animal kingdom. But humans do it instinctively. By moving the primary sexual triggers to the front of the body, the breasts, the lips, evolution forced humans to look at each other's faces while mating. The love hormone, the bonding chemical. You look at the chest, you look at the face, the oxytocin floods your brain, and suddenly you're forming an emotional attachment. You stick around, you help hunt, you protect the cave. The baby survives. Boobs didn't just trick you into being horny. They literally built the foundation of human monogamy, the nuclear family, and by extension, all of modern civilization. You should be thanking them. And this brings us to the ultimate hilarious tragedy of the modern male. You are sitting in a corporate office, or you're scrolling on your phone on the subway. A woman walks by wearing a low-cut top. Instantly, a biological program older than fire, older than language, older than the concept of wearing pants, boots up in your brain. Your pupils dilate, your attention snaps. Your primate hardware recognizes the front ass. And then, the HR department of your prefrontal cortex kicks in. Society steps in. You avert your eyes. You stare intensely at the ceiling. You feel a wave of cultural shame. Because you have been told that your gaze is a toxic, modern societal construct built by the patriarchy. It is completely scientifically bullshit. You are not being corrupted by society. You are being punished for functioning exactly as the manufacturer intended. You are being shamed for looking at the exact biological billboard that evolution spent millions of years specifically engineering to forcibly grab your attention. It's like putting a massive flashing neon sign in a dark room and then handing out fines to anyone who looks at the light. Now, to be clear, this does not mean you get a free pass to act like a drooling creep at the gym. Having a monkey brain is not an excuse for lacking basic manners.
You are a primate, yes, but you are a primate that invented the James Webb Space Telescope and deodorant. Have some self-control. But the next time you catch yourself aggressively trying not to look, the next time you feel that deep, primal pull, just take a breath and forgive yourself. You are not a degenerate. You are just an ape who stood up. Your ancestors traded the simple, honest geometry of a primate ass for a massive brain, a sharp stick, and a very confusing set of front-facing fleshy hemispheres. We are walking, talking, tax-paying animals, deeply confused by our own hardware, desperately trying to pretend we aren't driven by millions of years of crude, vulgar, magnificent survival mechanics. Some things are just hardwired. Some things are just biology. Okay, I'm off now. I need to go clear my browser history before the FBI raids my house. In the meantime, click on the next video, bro. I promise, it has absolutely nothing to do with monkey asses. Please. See you soon.